Hi guys, my name is Chad Trofgruben, and this is Rigging and Animating in Adobe Animate. This course was originally released on Udemy a few years ago. However, the fundamentals still apply, and I think this can be a useful lesson. You'll learn how to take an existing design and translate that into Adobe Animate so that it's set up with symbols and layers in mind so that you have the quickest way of applying bone-like animation. The chapters of this course will be archived weekly here on YouTube, but you can also check this course out on Udemy if you wish to see the whole course all at once and get access to the work files. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.
For this video, I am inside of Animate CC, working off of 03 chad animatecc.fla. Feel free to open up this file. We now want to dive in and start breaking down this rig so that way we can properly animate things out. And the first thing we'll focus on is the head. As you can see right now, all of the head faces are visible, which is not good. We're going to set up a head symbol so that way we can pick and choose which head phases we want to implement at which times. So first, because I'm going to be working with the rig, I want to change the way my workspace is currently set up. I find that putting the timeline on the left when rigging is easier. So I'm just going to come over here and grab the timeline and click and drag and bring it over here until the left side of the screen flashes blue and then release. And now we can view the timeline just like this. Now this might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but if we were to double click on the Chad layer, you can see now it's easier to access all the layers here on the side, and it will allow us to rig quicker versus if it were on the bottom. And I currently don't need that output window as well, so I'm just going to close that. That way we have more screen to look at. So now, with that, we want to come in here and look at the different head poses. So we have head side, head front, and head 3/4. And everything is pretty much set up and ready to go for us. So making sure that all of those layers are expanded out, I'm just going to come in here, click once on hair strand for head side, hold in shift, and then click on back strand. Now, right click within those layers, and then come down and choose copy layers from the list. Now, I'm going to use Command F8 or Control F8 if you're on Windows to create a new symbol. We're just going to type out head side for this, and we'll keep it as a graphic, and we can click OK. Inside this new symbol, I'm just going to come over here to layer 1, right click, and then paste layers. With that now, you can see all the layers are set. We currently can't see them. That's because they're a little bit off screen, but that's okay. We're also going to come in here and remove layer 1 since we no longer need it. Now, I'm going to click on scene 1 to back out. And now we're going to repeat this process for the next two poses. So I'll double click. We're going to repeat the process now for head front, starting with hair strands at the top. Click on hair strands, hold in shift, and then click on head, right click, copy layers, Command F8 to create a new symbol for the library. Name this one head front. Click OK. Right click on layer 1, paste those layers. We can come in and then remove layer 1 as we no longer need it. Come back out here to scene 1, double click on the Chad graphic once again. We're going to come down here now to head 3/4. So underneath head 3/4, we're going to click and then hold in shift and then click all the way down to head 3/4 and just click. And so now we have those selected. right click, copy layers, Command F8. This will be head 3/4. We can click OK and then just paste those layers and everything should be good to go. Coming back in here to the Chad reduced.psd graphic, I want to just collapse these heads here really quick. And while still under the heads group, I want to create a new layer. I guess I should actually be in the heads group when I do that, but that's okay. If you're not, you can just drag and drop. So we have a new layer, and I'm actually going to create 2 more. And we'll start with the top one here. Just click on layer 63, come over here to your library, and you'll see now that we have head side, head front, and head 3/4. Let's start with head side. In fact, I can come in here and just hide the visibility for head front and head 3/4 on the timeline. Let me just collapse these so it's not too confusing looking at that. So now we just see head side, making sure we're once again on layer 63. I'm just going to come over here and click and drag and bring head side out like that. And we can just come in and line it up as close as possible. Let me just use Command and come in here so I can zoom in with my mouse wheel. And then I can just place the head in just like that. And I can come up here. We can name this now head side. And we're just going to keep going here. So let me hide the original head side and bring up head 3/4. And I'll hide this new head side. Come down to layer 62, drag and drop head front, and just come in and quickly line it up. Again, you can use your arrow keys if you need to make any precise movements just to get it into place. Come in and name that one appropriately, so head front. And then we have head 3/4, which is the last one we want to reference. So grab head 3/4, bring it in, bring it over, and get it into place just like that. Come in and rename this to head 3/4, and you're looking good. So now I'm going to come in here, click once on the head side group, hold in Shift, click on head 3/4, and then come up here to the trash can and just remove all of those layers. You're going to get a warning asking you if you want to do this. Just hit yes. And now everything is removed for those groups. And we now just have the symbols in place, which will help us with organization. There's one more thing we want to do, and that is put these symbols into another symbol. And we're just going to do what we did before. Click on head side, hold in Shift, click on head 3/4, right click, and then copy layers, Command F8, and we're just going to name this one head, and then click OK. We're now inside that new symbol, right click, and paste layers, and we'll come in here and remove that layer 1 because we don't want that. Let's now jump back into the main Chad rig symbol. We can come over here and click once on the Chad group and then make a new layer. And we will name this one head. And within the library, I'm just going to click and drag and bring this head symbol over and zoom in. And just come over here like this and place that head symbol in so that it attaches and that it overlays the original objects. Now I can come over here, click once on heads, and then we can just remove that group. We'll just say yes, and now it's removed, and we have the 3 head poses within this symbol. But there is just one more thing we need to do. Let's double click on this new head symbol to go inside. You can see that we have these 3 layers. And I'm just going to expand the timeline out really quick. And we're just going to start with this top layer. So head side will be frame 1. Head front is going to be frame 2. And to do that, we're just going to click and drag and bring it up so that it is frame 2. And then head 3/4 is going to be frame 3. And then we're just going to come down here to head front, hold in shift, click on head 3/4, come up here and use that trash icon. And now I can come in here and relabel this layer to just head and then hit enter. So what I have done here now, let me just collapse this timeline. Only one head phase will be visible. The hair, let me come down here, is currently visible behind the body, so that might be throwing this off a little bit, so I'll just hide that for right now. But you can see here that we have the head, and if you want, you can come over here to your properties, and either using the frame picker or just advancing on your frames, you can see now that we can adjust which head pose we want to use. And so that is one way you can control your head and your head phases inside of Animate CC. And there is much more we can do. This is just the beginning, getting everything set up before we go into the more advanced stuff. For this video, I'm in 04 CAD Animate CC, and we are going to work on the eyes. So the first thing I want to do is just zoom in here a little bit and then double click on my CAD rig to go inside, and then double click on the head to go in there. Once again, we're only going to focus on the head 3/4 view for this course. So once I teach you how to do all this, you can go back and apply these techniques to any of the head phases, such as head side and head front. But in this case, we're just going to do all the work in head 3/4. So on frame 3, I can double click on head 3/4 to go inside. So I want to focus on the eyes for this. And we could do this a couple different ways. For instance, if we wanted to create smoother eyes, we could reconstruct the whole thing using vectors and then use shape tweens for the eyelids and other parts of the eye to create a smoother experience. But since I have my mouth and my head already set up as a switch, I'm going to do the same for the eyes to retain that look. And I might cover another course later where we work with vector characters where we can create all those smooth animations. But for right now, I want to come in here and just focus on the eyes. So let's collapse the mouth for right now. And the eyes are made up of 4 layers. You have the front eyelids for the front eye, back eyelids, the pupils, which is for both eyes, and then you have the eyeballs. So what I'm going to do is create a symbol using this template, and then from there we can build other eye phases from it. Click on eyes, hold in shift, click on front eyelids, right click, and then choose to copy layers. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different compared to what I did with the head. With these layers selected, I'm going to hit F8 to convert to symbol. Let's name this one eyes, and then click OK. So now we have an eyes symbol, and it condenses all of the graphics into one layer because they're now in one symbol. Let's double click on this layer to go inside. And here, I'm just going to right click and paste the layers, select all the layers I just pasted, and we're going to put them over the original layer. Let me just zoom in and make sure we can line up the eyes correctly. And I can always just hide these layers here. Here, let me bring this one above just to make sure everything is lined up. So my layers need to go down and to the left a little bit. And there we go. That's looking good. So once you have all of it lined up, you can click on layer 1 and then hit the trash can to remove those layers. So now we have our eyes set up. And essentially what we're going to do is go through the timeline, and every frame is going to be a different phase for the eyes. First things first, I want to replace the pupils with vectors, simply because they're tied together, and while I could come in here and break them apart, whenever you select them, it's going to select both, and you would have to go through the process of having to go through and select the pupil and then try to split it up. And if you enlarge it, it's going to pixelize a little bit. So let's just come in here and create a new layer right above the original pupils. And in fact, I'll just lock everything right now except for layer 2, just to ensure I don't accidentally click on anything else. Now, using O on the keyboard, you can select the oval tool, come over here to your properties, and for this particular shape, I'm going to click on the stroke and disable it. You can click on the transparency right here to turn it off. Next, you want your fill color to be black. So just make sure you're all the way to the end here, or all of your numbers are set to 0. So just click like that. And then we're going to come in here and just draw over the original pupils. If you want to make sure the shape is uniform, hold down Shift and just click and drag. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but just you can get it close just like that. Hold in the space bar and move over here. And I'll do the same really quick for this one. Just come in and bring in that pupil a little bit like that. There we go. So now we have some custom pupils built in. I can zoom out. And then we're just going to unlock the original pupils layer and then delete it. So now I can come over here, double click on layer 2 and rename this to pupils. So now we have that set. And now it's just a matter of going through and each frame being a different phase for the eye. So I'm going to pause here, and up next, we will create some animations for the eye. For this video, I'm working off of 05 Chad Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. I'm now going to dive back into my head 3/4 view. So I can come over here to the library and just click on that, come down here and find head 3/4, double click to go inside. So here we are, and we have our new eyes set up, ready to go. If I double click on those, we can go in here and we can begin working with the eye phases. So frame 1 will be the default phase where he's looking forward. What I can do here is just unlock my frames really quick, and I'm just going to come in here and create 5 frames. So I can do this by clicking once on frame 2 for front eyelids, holding in Shift, and then clicking on frame 5 for eyes, and then hit F6 to create keyframes for every frame that's selected. So now I'm going to come back here to frame 2 for pupils. And I'm just going to do some basic movements where we have the pupils going left, right, up, and down. So starting with the back eye, and I can come in here and lock everything now except for the pupils. For that back eye on frame 2, I'm just going to come in here and hold in Shift and use my arrow keys and move it to the right. And I can come in here and do the same for that. Then if we go to frame 3, it's going to snap back, and we can move them then to the right. So you have left, and I can come in here and maybe move this one back just a little bit, and then right, and then we can do one that's up, and then down. So just like that, you have your different directions that you can invoke now with the default eye phase. So now we can keep going. I'm just going to come in here and add 5 more keyframes. So I'll hit F6 to do so. And on frame 6, let's go ahead and unlock the front and back eyelids. And on frame 6, I'm just going to click once on front eyelids and hit the delete key, and then do the same for back eyelids. So now we've deleted both. And I want to come back here to my pupils and click on that, hold an Alt, and then bring this over and release. By holding an Alt and dragging a keyframe, you can replace it. So here we've basically brought the pupils back to center, but the eyes are now wide. And we can do all the directions for this simply by coming over here on frame 2, holding in Shift, clicking on frame 5, right click, and then copy frames. Come over here then to frame 6, and we're just going to select up to frame 11, and then right click and paste frames. So now if we come back here, we can see the pupils are doing their thing. I can come over here now to the front and back eyelids and select all 4 frames. You can have to do them individually. You can select both eyelids, but you'll have to go through each frame, and we can now remove it. So now we have all the directions, and then we have some wide eyes. Now, because the eyelids are removed, we might want to come in here and play with the pupils a little bit. First, we might want to adjust the size since the eyes are wide. It's completely up to you, but since we now have them as vectors, it is a little bit easier to work with. So perhaps on frame 6, I can just hold in Shift and click on both of those ovals. Use Q to bring up the free transform tool, and then we're just going to hold in Shift and bring these up. And now I can come in and just bring them back over like so. So you have on frame 1 like this, and then frame 6, it's like that. And if we want to keep the pupils wide, what I can do really quick is just click once on frame 7, hold in Shift, click on frame 10, right click, and then choose Clear Keyframe. And then with those frames still selected, right click, Convert to Keyframes. So now we have the wide eyes on all these frames, but we can go through and mimic the eye movement from the previous set. So starting on frame 7, I'm just going to move the eyes over like that. Snap back, frame 8, move them over like so, and then up and then down. So on frame 9, I'll go up, and then frame 10, we can go down. So now you have all these different eye phases that you can work with. For the final frame, we're going to create a blink. So first, I want to reference the original frame 1 for this, so that way I can get my eyelids back. Coming over here to frame 1, on front eyelids, I can click once, hold in Shift, click on eyes, and then hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and drag it over to frame 11 and release. So now we are looking at the original frame on frame 11. I'm going to come in here and remove the pupils. We really don't need them on this frame since it's going to be a blink phase. So I can just click on frame 11 on pupils and hit the delete key. Now for this, I'm going to add one more layer to the timeline. I can come up here to front eyelids and then click on new layer to add it right to the top. And I'm going to click on frame 11 for this new layer and then hit F6 to enter in a keyframe. Now I want to zoom in here and grab the oval tool, and we can come in here and make sure that we have the stroke turned on. And just for right now, we can change the fill to white. And I'm just going to come in here and draw out an oval that's close to the shape of the eyeball. Now, I'm going to right click on this new layer and then choose mask. And I want to make sure that front eyelids is within the mask. So now it's looking like this. Next, let's unlock front eyelids. And we can hide the mask for right now. Coming over here to frame 11. Selecting front eyelids, I will then use Command B or Control B to break apart the image. Then, coming in here, I can select the bottom portion first. Let's grab the free transform tool here, and I want to move the origin point to the bottom. So that way when I resize, it goes from the bottom up. And we can just bring it up a little bit like that. And I'm just going to extend it out just like that. Then we can do the same here for the top. Just click off and then select the top here. Make sure that you adjust your origin point. And then I'm just going to come in here and move this down and over just like so. So now, just to take a look, if we come back here and lock all the layers and reveal the mask, we can see what this is currently doing. So we need to go just a little bit more here to get the eye shut. If I come in here, I can grab the lasso tool, and I want to make sure that I'm on front eyelids when I'm doing this, and also make sure it's unlocked. And we can hide the mask again so we can see what we're doing. But with the lasso tool, I just want to come in here and just make sure I grab just the edge of this. Might take a couple tries here just to grab it. Come down here. And then, using the free transform tool, I'll just put that up. And I can move this down just a little bit like so. Now it's going to look a little bit off, so we're going to have to make some corrections really quick. Grabbing the brush tool, clicking on the fill color, I'll use the eyedropper to select the eyelid color. Coming over here, we can adjust the size. And I'm just going to fill in everything here that I feel needs to be filled in. And at any time you can just adjust the size of the brush so that you can do what you need to do here. So just fill in those details just like that. And then we're going to need to replace a couple things. So going back here to the fill, we will select a highlight color. I can decrease the size of that brush, and we're just going to come in here and try to replace that fill. And you can use the other eye as a reference for how this should look. We'll try to smooth that out and get it as close as we can to where it's supposed to be. And we have a little bit of a line up there I can fill in just like that. And then we're missing this line as well. So once again, going back here to your fill color, we want to come in here and add this line on the opposite side. So we can come in and go like that. And actually, I'm going to decrease the size of the brush to 1 and try that again. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. So now if I come back here and we reveal everything and we lock everything, we can see that it looks like this. So one more thing we can do just to ensure everything is looking good, I'm going to create one more layer. We'll keyframe on that final frame. I'm going to grab the oval tool, make sure that we set the fill to transparent, and I'll increase the stroke to about 3. And I can come in here, let me actually increase that to 6, and just draw out an oval that we can kind of put over like so. And I can come in here and kind of refine it a little bit to make it fit more with the shape. Now we need to get this over to the other eye, and for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to copy what we did here over to that second eye. So I'm going to unlock the front eyelids, and let's hide, and let's lock the outline. We can click on the front eyelids keyframe, and then holding an Alt, I'm just going to click and drag and bring this down to back eyelids and release. Now using my arrow keys, I can bring this over, hit Q, and I can resize this close to where the original was, so about like that. I'm also going to come in here and duplicate the other mask I made for the other eye. So right click and then duplicate, bring that so that it's below the front eyelids. And then we can bring back eyelids into that. And I want to unlock this really quick and find that mask. And we're just going to bring this over and try to resize it to the eye as best as we can. So about like that. And so if I come in here now and lock and reveal everything, we have something that looks like that. I can come in here, unlock layer 3, duplicate it, and then bring it above the second mask. So just like that. Using the selection tool, we're just going to move that outline over, hit Q, and then I can just resize this really quick. Looking at this, I might want to come back here to the back eyelids. Make sure you hide that mask so you can see what you're doing. And I'm just going to increase the width a little bit more, like so. And I can even grab that line I made for this right here and just bring it over a little bit like that. And then just fill in those little spots to make sure everything is looking good. The last thing, and I know we're covering a lot of steps here, but I promise this is the last major thing, is I want to unlock and reveal everything here. And on that final frame, I want to select everything, hit Q, and set that origin point down just a little bit, but not all the way. And then click and drag from the top down, and you're just going to squish everything down about like that. And then click and drag on the right and just bring everything out slightly like so. So it's about like that. So now if we come back here and we lock, we can see what this is looking like, and we no longer need the eyeballs on that layer as well. So let me just come down and click on that frame and delete. So now if we come back here and we view all of these frames, and you can page back and forth on your timeline with the comma and period keys, you can see we have all these eye phases in place, and we have the blink now established as well. Also, before you finish up, make sure you go through and rename all these layers. I did not do that when quickly going through this. So this, for instance, is your front eye outline, which is only on the last frame. And then you have your front eye mask, and then front eyelids. And then right down here is your second outline. So back eye, outline, back eye mask. And so everything now is looking pretty good. There is just one more little thing that we need to do. If we pop back here to frame 1, you'll notice that my eye lines are not correct. This eye right here, the lines should be in the opposite directions. You have this line right here, but when you have your eyelids present, it's actually over there. So, and that's just because we duplicated this. we just got to come down here. We'll unlock everything and hide the masks. I'm just going to click on that outline with the selection tool, move it over like this. Make sure we rotate it like so. Move it back like that. And I want to grab the brush, come in here and make sure we have the eyelid color selected. And we're just going to fill that part in. And also this part in. Just come in here and just kind of color that in as best as we can. There we are. And then we can grab this line, copy and paste it up here. And then using Q, I'm just going to rotate it over like so. And we're just going to match it up as close as we can with this other line like that. Let's come over here and there you go. So now the lines are correct. If we bring everything and lock it and bring it back to visible, we now have something that looks like this. So there you go. We now have assembled the eye animations that we can invoke at any time. I'll pause the video here, and up next, we'll keep working with the face. For this video, I'm inside of Animate CC, working off of 06 Chad Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. I'm now going to dive back in, and this time we're going to focus on the eyebrows. So let's double click on the Chad rig to get back into the head 3/4 view, or you can come over here to your library and just double click on head 3/4 to get back inside. So, like the eyes, I want to create different phases for the eyebrows. That way we can invoke those emotions at any time, such as having the eyebrows raise or lower. Perhaps he's angry. Perhaps you want one eyebrow to raise while the other stays at its default position. Whatever you want to do, we can create it here. So like the previous videos, we're going to create a symbol for this. First, let's come over here and clean up the timeline a little bit. That way things don't get too confusing. When I created my eyes, I just used the front eyelids layer to do this. So now I can double click on front eyelids and rename it to eyes. And then come over here and click once on back eyelids, hold in shift, and then click on eyes. Come up here to the trash can and remove it. So now I want to come over here, click once on front eyebrow, hold in shift, click on back eyebrow, right click, and then copy layers. Now, Command F8, we can name this one eyebrows and then click OK. Right click on layer 1, paste those layers, and we can remove layer 1 as well. Now, let's come back here to head 3/4. You can see we have eyebrows right here that we can use to replace. First, let me make a new layer. That way we can use the other two eyebrows as a reference. And then on that new layer, click and drag eyebrows over and get it into position. And there you go. Once you're good, you can come over here and use the hide and show feature just to make sure that the eyebrows are overlaid properly, and it looks like they are. So we can now come over here and let's just remove these two eyebrows that we no longer need. Just hit the trash can. And I can come over here now and just rename this one to eyebrows. We can double click to go inside of eyebrows. And this is where we can start setting up the phases. Now, just like the eyes, we could go more in depth with it. You could do smooth animations with the eyebrows going up and down and all that. But again, since we have head phases and we have the mouth set up to act as a switch, I'm just going to create some simple motions that we can switch to on the fly. So to start, let's create 5 keyframes. That way, we have something to work with here. And starting on frame 2, I'm just going to come in here and use Q on my keyboard to select the free transform tool. And I'm just going to rotate this one down. And I can click on the back eyebrow and do the same. And just rotate them down like this, and then bring it down like so. So about like that. So now you have a mad or determined phase, just like that. And we could do in between as well. So if you wanted to go from here and then halfway in between and then to this phase, you could as well. It just depends on what you need and what you want to put in. So for the third frame here, I'm just going to move this up just a little bit, and then we can rotate down like so. So now you go from here to here, and you have some different phases you can switch to. And then finally, we can just do some other things on frame 4. I can come in here and just lower this one, and you could raise that one. And since we're lowering this, we could also just rotate it a little bit like that. And then perhaps rotate this one like that, since it's being raised up. And you could do the opposite on this one if you wanted to. So on frame 5, you can come down here, we could lower that, raise that, and bring it up. So now you have different phases you can invoke in addition to the eyes. So if the eyes are bugging out, you could have this eyebrow expression, or you could have them raised up because he's surprised. Whatever you want to do, we can go in and set those phases as we see fit. For this video, I'm working off of 07 Chad Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. Just to make sure everything is clear, I'm going to show how to assemble the mouth poses using a vector character as well as a raster-based character. For the most part, as you've probably discovered, it really doesn't matter if you are using a vector or raster-based character to rig the way I'm rigging. But there is an exception here, and I just want to make sure everything is as clear as possible so that way everyone can take advantage of this course. So first, let's cover building the mouth poses using images. We're now going to dive back into the head 3/4 view and set up the mouth appropriately. Let's double click on head 3/4 within the library to go inside. And here we have a mouth group on the timeline, in addition to all of the phonemes that we'll need to make this work. We want to assemble this into a symbol and spread out the frames like we had with the eye phases and everything else, so that way, when it comes time to animate, we can easily invoke the mouth poses using the frame picker. And we can do this a few different ways, but what I'll do here first is just select all of these layers under mouths, right-click, and then choose Copy Layers. Next, I'll right-click and then choose to merge layers, and then we can click once on that merged layer and then hit F8 to convert it to a symbol. I can name it mouth and then hit OK. And double-clicking on this mouth will go into that new mouth symbol. I'm then going to right-click on layer 1 and then choose to paste the layers. With the layers still selected, if I zoom out a little bit, you're going to find that the mouths actually pasted down there. Using that original layer as a guide, I'm just going to come in and drag all of these graphics at once and just put it up here and line it up as best as I can. You can also use the arrow keys if that helps to ensure that you have it all lined up. So about like that should be good. You can always bring layer 1 above everything else and then hide and show just to make sure that it doesn't look like it's popping in and out. If it's not, it looks like everything is overlaid correctly. We can remove layer 1 now. And we're just going to use the first layer here, grin, as our main layer. And we're just going to grab all of these frames and just bring them into sequence. So just a few more. Just come in, and now everything is set up and good to go. So now if we jump back here to head 3/4, we can come over here to the properties and choose single frame, and we're able to cycle through any of the mouth poses that we want to work with. And while we're at it, let's double click on merge layer 1, rename that to mouth, and take it out of the group and bring it below the hair. And we can click on that mouths group and now remove it. So now we have everything set up for the frame picker inside of this head. We can now use this as a template to create head animations that we can reuse at any time, in addition to any body animations we create, which is really cool. So with the raster-based character now covered, let's move over and quickly touch on what you should do if you have a vector-based character. Now again, we designed this a certain way inside of the design course, and we set up our mouth using masking. So what I would recommend you do in order to build up your library of phonemes is first come into the list of layers and copy the mouth that we created. So if we come down here, you'll find the mouth group. All I want to do is just click on that, right click, and then choose copy layers. Once we've done that, we want to create a new symbol by going up to Insert, New Symbol, or Control F8 or Command F8 if you're on Mac. Here, we can name the symbol Mouth, and we'll leave it as a graphic. Once you're good, you can click OK. You'll now be brought into the new mouth symbol. We want to right-click on the layer for layer 1, so just right-click and then choose Paste Layers. This will now paste everything back in that you just copied. You might not see anything right away, and if that happens, you can back out of this symbol and then come over here to your library and locate the mouth that you just made and double-click to go inside. So now you can come in, and as you can see, we have this set up so that it's in a symbol. And once properly masked, or if you lock all your layers, you'll see that it works the way it should. You can come back out here to scene 1, and we can grab this mouth. Let's come into the head group here. Here's the mouth folder. And again, at this point, you would have all of your other symbols made up here. Right now, I just have it set up so that it's all vectors. But again, this is just to give you a brief example. So once you're inside your head and you find that group, we're going to create a new layer. So just come over here to the new layer button. We have that new layer. I'll just come in and rename it to mouth. And then we can grab the mouth symbol and bring it onto that layer, just like that. From here, if you wish, you can come down and reorganize this using the original reference and get the new mouth into position. And once you're satisfied with that, you can come down here to the group and remove it. Or you can hide it if you wish to reference it later, but removing it should be fine since all the information is now within that new symbol. And with that, since you have the symbol already created and all of the poses were made up in the design course, you can see now that we can come in and we can pick and choose the different phonemes that we created. And so with that, you should now be caught up and good to go along with the rest of the image rigging. So with that, we're going to pause the video here and up next, move on to the next step.